Now we're really getting into it. The Yamas and the Niyamas, the first two branches of the foundation of yoga, or the tree of yoga. So the Yamas are social ethics, ways of being with ourself and other. The Niyamas are personal observations, ways of tending, ways of being with ourselves. There are 5 of each, and I'll cover the Yamas and then the Niyamas. I'll offer examples from my personal life and my personal practice. My students share with me that they really appreciate when I share how yoga shows up in my life or how I've used yoga to guide my life. So for each one, I'll provide a personal example and maybe you'll get to know me a little bit better. Ahimsa is the first of the yamas. The in front of the word in Sanskrit, and I'm not a Sanskrit extraordinaire. I have a little bit of paint on my paintbrush for Sanskrit, so be kind if you're a Sanskrit scholar. So the in front of the word means not, or it negates. So when we say ahimsa, himsa meaning violence. So ahimsa is non-violence. Non-violence seems pretty intuitive to most of us. Yeah, I'm not going to hurt people, I won't kill anybody, and that's pretty good, right? I'm doing it. I'm doing the yoga. And you are continue to not cause harm upon other people. But let's talk about ahimsa in a practical day-to-day. When we talk about non-violence, things that cause harm, think about yourself first, because the way that we're with ourselves is really what we project out to others. If we are being violent with ourselves, it will come out as violence towards others. It's really, we think that we're doing a good job at hiding that, but the truth is, if we're judgmental with ourselves, we're also judging others, and this is the way it works. We can start with nonviolence with ourselves. That looks like releasing the self-judgment and criticisms. And that takes time. I get that. But we can remember that our yoga practice guides us to nonviolence, towards self-compassion and compassion with others. Satya is the next one. Satya is truthfulness. One of the things that really landed most for me when I was studying the yamas and niyamas is that truth is fluid. Truth is different for me and it's different for you, and it can change day to day. Sometimes we get in this fixed mindset that, the way we think it should be is the way that it should be. And it's hard to get away from that. But when we can get a bigger perspective and see that truth can change, what was true when I was 5 or 10 does not have to be true now. What was true yesterday doesn't have to be true. Satya and Ahimsa really go together. And the way that those two show up in my life is when I have to contemplate, do I choose Ahimsa or truthfulness? Have you been here before? Where your truth might in fact hurt somebody, might hurt somebody's feelings. Or maybe they hurt your feelings and you need to be true about it and speak up. I really lean on the yamas and niyamas in this situation. And I remember Ahimsa before Satya. I have adopted a communication style from Marshall Rosenberg of nonviolent communication. Nonviolent communication allows us to communicate how we feel without attacking or blaming other. We'll get to that in a later video. Asteya, so remember steya means stealing, asteya, non-stealing. So good job if you're not stealing from the grocery store or other stores or your friends. You are practicing asteya. But let's look at it at a little more detail. Asteya of non-stealing. So one way we can steal is by stealing from others in time or attention, interrupting. I practice asteya when my mind starts drifting off when somebody is talking to me, and I remember that my non-presence is a way of stealing what they're going to say. Or maybe I assume I know what somebody's going to say. I'm not going to invite that friend to dinner because I already know she's going to say no. That's a form of stealing because I am assuming I'm stealing her answer before she can give it. Stealing from yourself could look like staying up past your bedtime. You're stealing from future energy, self-sabotage, when we do things that we know are not beneficial for us. Aparigraha, there's that again, aparigraha, is non-grasping, not grasping and holding on. When we're attached to something, and yoga does teach us how to detach, or does teach non-attachment. When we are grasping on something, we're contracted. I mean, just grasp your fist together, and just the energy in your fist is now contracted, and energy cannot flow freely through a clenched fist. So when we release our hand, energy can flow freely again. That which is intended to come to us can. I have grasped over jobs, wanting to have a different job, applying and thinking I should get jobs. And I was just so tense about it. I was holding so much. Where if I can release, then what is for me, my own path can unfold in front of me. Grasping for others can look like having expectations of others or trying to control other people's behavior. And that doesn't afford an open and honest exchange of energy or relationship. So when we can loosen our grip on needing things to be a certain way, that's one way of practicing aparigraha, non-grasping. The last yama is brahmacharya, non-excess. There's a lot of ways that we kind of hoard things. Sometimes we hoard material things, shoes, jeans. Sometimes we hoard things like thoughts and emotions. And we spend time ruminating or holding on to, say, like our anger. And anger can be a scary one to feel sometimes if you're not used to letting yourself feel anger and frustration. Not the ruminating, that's the brahmacharya. But the hoarding, I want to hang on to this emotion. And that can be for a time. We can allow ourselves to be how we are and to feel how we feel. But if we're tapping into too much, we're hanging on to the anger and we're piling in the anger. The anger is breeding the anger. We're practicing excess. When, again, thinking of aparigraha, we can release, we can open, we can let go. Easier said than done. I know, that's why yoga is here to help us. Let's talk about the 5 niyamas. Again, these are the personal observances, these ways of being with ourself. The first is saucha. Saucha means cleanliness. So making sure we have a clean space. Oftentimes, if we have a messy desk or a messy kitchen, we might also have a messy or cluttered mind. How I practice saucha is by rolling up my mat after every practice. I don't leave my mat out. It is a ritual for me. It is an act of reverence for my yoga mat and my yoga practice. So I roll my yoga mat up and I store it away after every practice, even when I know I'm coming back tomorrow. It's also kind of sacred to roll out the mat for the practice. So double benefit. Santosha is the next niyama. Santosha means contentment, being content with what we have, being content with where we are. The power of gratitude can really show us the way here. We can tap into gratitude to help us feel grateful for what we have, even when we have a goal or we are working towards something else. I think sometimes that is when things get even harder, when we are in an uncomfortable situation, say a job that is not satisfying to you. When you're in that job and you just, want to be somewhere else. And so it's really hard to be content where you are. But then this other job opening happens and it looks really good. It's very appealing to you. You are the perfect person for this job. The discomfort rises, right? It's almost like the FOMO, or when we see somebody else have something, keeping up with the Joneses. It's like I wasn't content, but I was moving along okay. And now this other thing is there and I want that. And we begin to stir. And it feels almost like content is impossible. And then that job slips away. It goes to somebody else or something happens. And you're left having all this energy that you put towards not being content with what you have. And it can kind of feel like an energy drain or suck. A slump is how it kind of feels in my body. I've been there. I'm sharing personal experiences, and hopefully they're landing for you in a way that you can correlate them into your own experiences. So practicing gratitude can help us be content where we are. We can practice this on our yoga mat by not striving into a pose our body is not ready for. We can practice Santosha by letting the thoughts and emotions break around us as if we are a mountain. It's a good thing we have yoga to show us how. Tapas means discipline. Discipline can get a bad rap. The minute we hear discipline, we might instantly kind of get small and clench up. We think, I'm not disciplined, or I'm not disciplined enough to do something. Tapas refers to self-nurturing discipline, having the empowerment to come to your yoga practice, to nurture yourself, to show up. So tapas is like heat. And if you think about turning your tea kettle on the burner, the right amount of heat and the water will boil. Not enough heat, the water is going to stay the same. Too much heat and the water might burn out. So the right amount of heat, the water boils and becomes steam. This is transformation. When we have a consistent practice, what can happen is it starts to illuminate our life or an area of our life. If you think of tapas as heat, as fire, fire also provides light. So it will provide the light on that which we need to work on, work through, digest, assimilate, or discharge. It illuminates our patterns, our mindsets. Because when we come to something every day, we are different. We come to the same thing as a different energy. And we can learn about ourselves. And this is how yoga is self-healing. Yoga is self-healing through the tapas, the Svadhyaya, which is self-study. And that's the next niyama. Self-study is learning about ourselves. If I show up in plank pose every day, and as soon as I get into plank pose, I am angry. I'm upset. I don't want to be here. That might key me into something in my life that's not working. I know that might sound crazy, but again, the body and the mind are connected. The mind can use the body to communicate. The body can use the mind to communicate. When we show up to a yoga practice, it's like providing the canvas or providing the note sheet to write the music on, so we can read the music and understand. When we understand ourselves, then we can make changes. We can change our beliefs and we can change our life. The last niyama, the final of the yamas and the niyamas, is Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender. It's surrendering to a higher purpose, surrendering to the universe, surrendering to yourself, surrendering to the process. It is seeing the good in you and seeing the good in everything else. This is a ripple of a yoga practice. You may already have beliefs built within you that will allow Ishvara Pranidhana to bloom and blossom quickly and rapidly. Or it may take some time to trust yourself and trust the world again. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. As you breathe this connection back, the yoga, the uniting of body, mind, and soul, Ishvara Pranidhana, the surrender to that which is for your highest good, becomes possible in a similar way that samadhi becomes possible with dhyana, with meditation. It's not something I can just tell you and you will feel it and experience it for yourself. It is part of the path and you'll move through it. And I'm here for your questions. I will recommend this book by Deborah Adal, The Yamas and Niyamas. I felt that this was a great walkthrough in a practical way. The examples in here really helped me come up with my own examples of how it shows up in my life. If you have any examples of how any of these yamas and niyamas show up in your life or any questions, I would love to hear. Leave them in the comments. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next video. We'll talk about asana and pranayama. We'll have a physical practice, so don't forget your mat.